So today we learn about Inscription Rock. Inscription Rock, officially named El Morro National Monument, is like an oasis in the New Mexico desert. It's located about 120 miles west of Albuquerque, or about a 2-hour drive west of Albuquerque, in a town called Rama, New Mexico, which is in Cibola County. It has over 2,000 inscriptions carved into the cliff face, some date over 1,000 years. Ancient petroglyphs are the oldest and most mysterious of these inscriptions. Then you have inscriptions by the Spaniards from the 16 and 1700s. The first by Juan de Oñate himself in 1605. Then you have another by Don Diego de Vargas in 1692. Then you have inscriptions from the 1800s made by Union Army soldiers, Anglo-Americans traveling west to California, traders, Indian agents, railroad surveyors, settlers, etc. It was a popular place to rest and camp after traveling through the hot desert. At the base of the cliff is a pool of water, an endless water supply. So snowmelt and rain from the top of the mesa drain down and collect at the base of the pool. So there's always water. And with no water in 30 miles in any direction, this was a perfect place to stop. People traveled about 20 miles a day on a good day. So with no water and 30 miles all the way around, this was the only place to stop. The large mesa also provided shade from the burning sun. They also said there was little coves with little caves that they would hide in whenever natives would attack. Many people stopped here over time and left an inscription. From the Native American traders who would travel between Acoma and Zuni, to the Spanish conquistadores and friars who were traveling to the western pueblos from Santa Fe, to the later Americans, U.S. Army troops who were heading to Navajo country, or wagon trains heading west to the California gold rush. Over 2,000 inscriptions in all. It's been described as a large stone logbook. So on December 8th of 1906, President Theodore Roosevelt officially established this place as El Morro National Monument, restricting anybody from making any further inscriptions on it. This also protected and preserved it as a historical site. So another cool thing about this place is at the top of the mesa are ruins of a pueblo that once thrived here for a short time. So archaeologists and historians say that the pueblo was built around 1275 to 1350 AD, but they only lived here about 75 years and then they abandoned it, and they don't know why. It's called Atsina Pueblo, and it was once part of the Zuni tribe. It was huge. It had about 850 rooms, housing up to 1,500 people, and fully excavated, it would be bigger than Chaco Canyon. So Inscription Rock is made up of sandstone, which is soft rock, and it's easier to carve on than other rock. The monument derives its name from the Spanish word morro, meaning headland or bluff. It rises about 200 feet above the desert valley with Pueblo Ruins on the top and a pool of water at the bottom. So like I was saying before, from the summit, rain and melted snow drain into a natural basin below, creating a large pool of water, a constant water supply. It's situated right in between the pueblos of Acoma and Zuni, which made it a popular camping spot. So this place was first discovered by Americans in 1849 when U.S. Army troops were coming back from Navajo country. They stopped near El Morro. Apparently, while they were camped near El Morro, an Indian trader named Lewis guided a lieutenant named J.H. Simpson to Inscription Rock and showed him it. So when the lieutenant seen the rock, he was amazed. He saw all the petroglyphs next to all the Spanish inscriptions. He couldn't read them, he didn't know what they meant, but he knew that it was amazing. So he brought back an artist named R.H. Kern, and they spent 2 days at the rock. They copied every single inscription one by one, and they were the first to name this place Inscription Rock. So the first European inscription was left in 1605 by the first governor of New Mexico, Don Juan de Oñate. So Juan de Oñate was the first to settle New Mexico in 1598. He founded a colony named San Juan de los Caballeros. Unfortunately, the colony was unsuccessful, and a lot of his colonists fled back to Mexico. Now, Oñate wanted gold and glory, and he had found none of it so far. So he started going on explorations to try to find it. Now in 1604, one of these explorations led him to the Colorado River. He followed it south all the way to its mouth. And then he came back up. In 1605, he stopped at Inscription Rock and he left this inscription. Now I'm going to read the English version for you. It says, "Passed by here, the adelantado Don Juan de Oñate from the discovery of the Sea of the South, the 16th of April of 1605. Oñate's Sea of the South was the Gulf of California. In 1607, Oñate was arrested for crimes against the indigenous people. He was kicked out of New Mexico, and the Spaniards founded Santa Fe. There's another inscription here from 1629, Governor de Silva Nieto. He had founded a mission in Zuni, and he thought he was successful, and after he had done that, he wrote this. Now I'm going to read the English translation. Here was the governor Don Francisco Manuel de Silva Nieto, whose indubitable arm and whose valor have now overcome the impossible with the wagons of the king, our lord, a thing he alone put into effect. August, obliteration, 629, that one may well to Zuni pass and the faith carry. It's hard to understand because it's from the 1600s, but that's what it says. So apparently he founded a mission at Zuni, and he said that he did the impossible. But I guess this wasn't true, because just 3 years later, some soldiers were passing through Inscription Rock and they left their mark. And this is what it says. They passed on the 23rd of March of the year 1632 to the avenging of death Father Letrado. So apparently the people at Zuni killed their priest, and now the soldiers were marching to avenge him. So in 1680, the Pueblo revolt forced all the Spaniards out of New Mexico, and the natives lived in relative peace for about 12 years. Then in 1692, Don Diego de Vargas reconquered New Mexico, and after he did this, he also stopped at Inscription Rock and left his mark. His reads, "Here was the General Don Diego de Vargas who conquered to our holy faith and to the royal crown Hall of New Mexico at his own expense, year 1692. Other Spanish inscriptions appear, the last dating 1774. Then you have an inscription with the initials OR and the date March 16th, 1836. Nothing is known about this, nobody knows who this guy is, but what we do know is it's the first English inscription. Now you have this one too. Lieutenant J.H. Simpson, USA, and R.H. Kern, artist, visited and copied these inscriptions September 17th and 18th, 1849. Now those were the first Americans who stumbled on the site and spent 2 days copying everything. Now here's this other inscription. It just reads, Bill. Now this has a crazy story behind it. So apparently before the Civil War, we had camels in the Southwest. They were trying to find a better way to go from the Mississippi to California. Crossing through the desert was very hard. So they went to Africa in 1855 and they studied camels in captivity. Then they bought 33 camels from Egypt and Turkey, 3 Arab handlers, and they brought them to Texas and started training them. They used the camels and they reported that they were superior to horses and mules. So they ordered 41 more camels in 1857. They said the camels could pull a big load over a mountain where mules just balked. They ate cactus and they went through the desert way easier than horses and mules. So for a couple years there in the 1800s, there was camels walking through the desert of New Mexico from Mississippi to California. Then the Civil War hit. The Confederates took Texas and they took control of the camels. Most of the camels were sold at auction, some ended up in the zoos and circuses, and some escaped. As early as the 1900s, sightings of wild camels were seen from Mexico to Arkansas. So the first immigrant party to try to pass through this route on the way to California stopped at Inscription Rock July 7th, 1858. They left their mark, stayed overnight, and then continued their route west. They got attacked by Mojave Indians. 7 of them got killed, and they lost everything they had. They were going to continue west to California, but there was more Mojave Indians ready to attack them, so they turned around and went back. They stopped at Inscription Rock on their way back, left their mark again, and then they headed east and settled in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Anyway, that's the story of Inscription Rock, El Morro National Monument in northwestern New Mexico. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you learned something new. This is Tragedy. I'm out.